Welcome to the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. This evening we will be running the Lennar 160, which is the second race out of 26 in our second season. I'm your play-by-play commentator, Dan Wilkins, as we are about to begin this incredible event from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Of course, you might know Homestead-Miami for its use in NASCAR, where for years it has hosted the final championship race. But this year, of course, and through the entire history of the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour, we've ran the Champions Lottery system where, the actual drivers get to choose where they want to race for the championship. Now, right now, we just got off of the Daytona 250, where, ironically, I ended up winning the race. Now, I showed in our Discord server, I showed my car ratings, and I proved that, I'm not I am not I'm not like a cheater or anything that's trying to work around the rules. No. I just ended up leading 8 laps, and it ended up being the last 8 laps of the race. Of course, Wyatt Floor in the Zero car, he ended up leading the most laps of the race with 18. That was definitely interesting to see there. But right now, we are about to begin the Lennar 160 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Right now, there were supposed to be a penalty given to the 45 and the 98 for quote-unquote reckless driving, which is what happened during the Daytona 250, where they wrecked on lap 88, and then they came back up the racetrack and took out another car at full speed. Eventually, I just decided to go against that because, it's the second race of the season. I'm not going to be throwing too many curveballs at everyone this early in the year. But the results from the from the 250 are definitely interesting because only only 9 cars finished on the lead lap. You have Dan Wilkins, which is me, Jay Bird, Christian Coppola, Jay Monin, Ariya Carmona, Faris Khalil, Nolo Hamilton, Jacob Thibodeau, and Esko Laukkanen. They were the only 9 cars on the lead lap, and I'd say there were only 3 or 4 that were actually in contention to win the race. There were only 25 cars running when the race ended. So we'll have to see what is new and what is the same old, as we are about to get ready from Homestead-Miami Speedway for the Lennar 160. We are just about to hear the driver command, so let's listen in.
Drivers, start your engines.
There we go, as we are about to begin this 107 lap event with 160 miles in play. As looks like Chase Buck just zoomed to the apron. That is a little bit weird, but as we get that taken care of, let's look at our starting field for this afternoon. Right now, it is Richard Birmingham and Nolo Hamilton on the pole, followed by Santiago Alvarez and Ty Rogers in row 2, Creed Daniel and Darian Arnsdorf in row 3, Wyatt Floor and Shea Derryman in row 4, Gustav Adolf in second, and Esko Laukkanen in row 5. Mitchell Collins and Cole DeMarco in row 6. Abel DeMarco. Row 7 is Stephanie Larson and Quincy Wolf. Row 8 is Kyle Driscoll and Ryan Adema. Row 9 is Jacob Thibodeau and Arthur Xavier. Row 10 should be Chase Buck and Tim Moore. Don't know what's going on there. Let's take a look at the qualifying. Not exactly sure what happened there. Chase Buck's actually going to be going to pit lane. So right now, row 12 is Christian Coppola and Ariya Carmona. So the pace car will be in, and for some odd reason, we will see Chase Buck go to pit road on literally the pace lap. That's unfortunate for the 19 car of Adema Buck Racing, but we will have a green flag from Homestead-Miami Speedway. I'm still very confused as to what happened to the 19 that caused him to literally go into pit lane and probably retire. It's confusing to me. I don't know if anyone will ever be able to explain it. But Santiago Alvarez on the inside of Richard Birmingham. Creed Daniel running up the track a little bit. Oh, this is not good. They're getting squirrely coming off the 4. They're They're getting real swirly off the floor. Going into turn 1, Homestead does have some good racing, but it also could produce some hard wrecks, which we've seen before. Coming off of turn 4, they are still too squirrely for my liking, as Santiago Alvarez brake checks just a tiny bit because he Creed Daniel on the outside, and I think Ty Rogers has a little bit of damage on the front of his hood. Whoa, we got a wreck, we got a wreck, we got a wreck! On the front stretch, it's Kyle Driscoll, Esko Laukkanen, Cole DeMarco, Greg Shetner involved, Ty Rogers involved. We got the big one, Christian Coppola taking huge damage. At least a half dozen, maybe even a dozen cars involved. Caution will wave on lap 3. And now, oh my gosh, we got a crash on the backstretch. The pace car is involved. Richard Birmingham and Santiago Alvarez just wrecked under caution. Let's take a look at the instant replay. You can see they're slowing down just so that they can, settle down. Here comes the pace car. He will shuffle through the field. They make contact and he just turns them into the wall. Have you ever? As Darrell Waltrip says, no, I have never. So Richard Birmingham will go to pit lane. I mean, I am just so confused. What in the world happened? So the pace car is out. There will be some cars going to pit road. We take a look at our pit lane camera. You can see there's some car. There's basically the whole field going pit lane. I am just extremely confused as to why he wrecked him under caution. Like, just under caution like that. I mean, Santiago's staying out, but he was the one that got turned, so you wonder if he's going to suffer from that. Right now, let's take a look at the 80 of Kyle Driscoll. Let's see what happened to the wreck. So you can see just coming off of 4, I mean, I know this is Homestead and the track is pretty wide, but if you try to go 4 wide at Homestead, it's just not going to be good for you. So we'll see coming off of 4 here, it looks like Laukkanen gets a little bit wide. Oh, it's the 6 and the 28. The 28 kind of gets turned by the 6, then the 45 goes around, the 80 goes around, and I think Arnsdorf just missed it by an eyelash. Area Carmona got damaged. Creed Daniel, of course, was the one who got spun to start the accident. Nolo Hamilton got a little bit scratched up. I'm sure that there are a lot of cars that were involved, but also just didn't get a lot of damage. Bryce Durlocker, who is making his Modern Stock Car Cup Tour debut, he was a late fill-in, a replacement for the 12. He ends up banging the inside wall, but Christian Coppola took a huge lick from that. And then they just start to pile up here. If we take a look at our helicopter, you can just see, wow, so many cars involved. As right now, as we can see, 16 car of Santiago Alvarez is in the lead on lap 5. We are under caution for the first time here in the Lennar 160. It's Alvarez, Gustav Adolf II, and Mitchell Collins in your top 3. We'll be right back after this. So we are back from Homestead-Miami Speedway. You can see Chase Buck is back on the track. He is a lap down, so he's going to be on the inside lane. Not exactly sure what happened under caution, or under the pacing laps when we started the race, that caused him to go to pit lane. I can't really explain it. But right now, your top 10 is looking like Santiago Alvarez, Gustav Adolf II, Mitchell Collins, Wyatt Floor, Stephanie Larson, Darian Arnsdorf, Kyle Driscoll, Ryan Adema, Carl McKinney, and Dakota Bennett. And Chase Buck lines up on the inside, Alvarez on the outside. We will go green on lap 7 of 107 here in the Lennar 160 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Pace car is in. Coming off of turn number 4, Alvarez, the native of Argentina, will lead the way to the start-finish line. Green flag. Even with the single file racing, they're already starting to find their lanes. We've seen some people try to run the high line like Tyler Reddick does in most of his real races. Santiago Alvarez holding off the 19 of Chase Buck. Wyatt Floor, though, he led the most laps at Daytona with 18. now he's in the mix. Oh, they're going to run 4 wide. This is not going to be good. 4 wide, 4 wide, 4 wide out of turn 4. You got to be kidding me. Have these guys not learned the gosh darn thing from the wreck that happened earlier? You can't get too close to each other, or else we're going to see. That's exactly what's going to happen. Santiago Alvarez moving way to the inside, and he's going to pit. What in the world? Everett pitting too. This race is more confusing than ever before. Darian Arnsdorf leads the lap as Santiago Alvarez and Jackie Everett go into pit lane. This might be the most confusing race I've ever seen. Wyatt Floor gets a little bit of a tap on the 14, as the 19 is starting to get a little bit out in front, but remember, he is just trying to stay on the lead lap. He is not the leader. It's the 98 of Darian Arnsdorf. They come off of 4 again. Faris Khalil also on pit lane. It's lap 9, or lap 10 now, rather. There is no need for these guys to be pitting, although there is a possible reason, or a plausible reason, for 16 to be pitting. He did sustain damage when the 47 essentially just turned him under caution, which still doesn't make sense. But right now, coming off of turn 4 once again, it'll be Darian Arnsdorf leading the lap. As Arnsdorf is getting a little bit of help from the car that's off the pace, Chase Buck. He's got about 0.3 seconds of a lead. And he will pass Chase Buck on the inside. I'm sure that Adama Buck Racing, even if Chase Buck is struggling, I mean, he is staying up to race speed, but he pitted on pace laps, which still, no matter how many times someone might say it to me, just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. But right now, Ryan Adama, in his home state, is running inside the top 5, so I'm sure when it comes to race payouts and, purses and stuff like that, I'm sure that the 92 and the 19 team are pretty happy with their results right now, but it is still very early, and you never know one of them. Oh! Speaking of wrecks, is that me? Yup, it's your good old boy, Dan Wilkins, and oh my gosh, it's the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau. Upside down, all around, all out of turn 4. This might be the... Oh, Bryce Durlocker. Why is this race so confusing? This race is essentially what would happen if you put Homestead on acid. Right now, down the backstretch, you can see... Does Durlocker start to blow up? Durlocker does blow an engine. I want to see what happens to the 77, which of course is me. I want to see what happens before the whole incident with Jacob Thibodeau happens. So you can see, oh, the 01 turns him into the inside wall. I mean, that was a hard enough hit, and I thought that that was going to be the end of it. But then we look at the 87, David Iller. No, Winty Wolf. Okay, so here's what I think happens. Durlocker starts to blow up, so people are trying to move out of the way. He's trying to move down, and Winty Wolf is there. So he just ends up turning him. But watch this. Pow! And then, if that wasn't bad enough, here comes Ethan Mitchell. Just pow! He sends him upside down into the catch fence. He goes into the catch fence. Leo King got in it. And he just misses Bryce Durlocker. But, I mean... that is the worst crash that I've ever seen in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour. This is the second race that we've broadcasted on YouTube, but still, that might be a contender for the worst crash of the season. Because right now, Winty Wolf, he caused that accident at Daytona, where he was a lap down. I mean, backing into the wall at 100 and whatever miles an hour, that's hard enough. But when you look at Ethan Mitchell just plowing in, sending him upside down, that is insane. Now, they are going to red flag the race, and they're going to stop the drivers on the backstretch to clean up everything, and make sure that Jacob Thibodeau is okay, of course. This is insane. So we are here with the cars red flagged on the backstretch right now. You can see there's some guys, they're just kind of stopped there. They're just, they're hanging out. They're cleaning up the debris on the front stretch after the terrible crash that happened with Jacob Thibodeau. I mean, it's insane what happened to him. Let's take a look at another replay to just show the absolute insanity of that crash. So, I mean, yeah, Durlocker starts to blow up. But, as they're trying to avoid that, David Iller doesn't really get out of his way, and then and then the 41 just slams into him. Thibodeau goes into the catch fence. I don't think I've ever seen anybody go into the catch fence. Heck, I don't think I've ever seen anybody flip at Homestead. But for the first time in our series history, we're going to have a red flag. Because right now, Jack Husky is in the lead, followed by Kyle Driscoll, Richard Birmingham, Abel DeMarco, and David Iller in the top 5. And just, it's amazing what is currently happening with this race. I mean, we've already seen 2 cautions. And right now, with the cars stopped on the backstretch, good gracious, this is going to be interesting to watch for the remaining, 90 laps of the race? We still got 90 laps. And we still have a red flag and 2 cautions. And a leader going to pit lane under green. So here on lap 15, they will lift the red flag. They will go into turn 3. Obviously just a terrible crash for the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau, going into the catch fence upside down. Luckily not on his roof, but still. Gotta feel bad for the 87 of Jacob Thibodeau. It is insane. Of course, coming from France, one of our European drivers, along with Esko Laukkanen and Gustav Adolf II. They're all European drivers, but right now, boy, oh boy. So they lift the red flag. We're on lap 16. We'll be right back after this. So we are back from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Jackie Everett and Santiago Alvarez will line up on the inside as Jack Husky, Kyle Driscoll, Richard Birmingham, Abel DeMarco, and David Iller are your top 5, followed by Winty Wolf, Felix Rizzo, Creed Daniel, Chase Buck, and Darian Arnsdorf. We just came back from a terrible crash with Jacob Thibodeau involved, Ethan Mitchell, and many others involved in the accident. Jacob Thibodeau went into the catch fence upside down and flipped a time or 2 coming off of turn 4. They red flagged the race, and then they lifted the red flag as the pace car will go in pit lane, as hopefully we'll go under green, and hopefully we won't have too many more issues for the rest of the race, because that was a horrifying crash to see. Don't want anyone to have to see that. I mean, that is crazy. Coming off of turn 4, Jack Husky will be your race leader as we go green once again for the 3rd time this evening. Already Jackie Everett is looking a little bit suspicious coming off the 2. Makes you think what is going to happen, because the 34 and the 16, they are not on the lead lap. They're probably just going to end up holding up the rest of the field. Whoa, David Iller slid up a little bit. He slid up the track. Oh boy. Still under green. No conflict. Right now at this point we have 29 cars on the lead lap and 33 cars on the racetrack. Faris Khalil is a bit of an interesting case. Right now he is on pit road getting some sort of repair done. I don't exactly know what it is. but he is in last place because he's 16 laps down. I just have no idea what it is. This race is already insane. And this race is already confusing, too confusing for the average fan to understand. I don't understand. Right now, Jack Husky out to a powerful lead. Santiago Alvarez, who is a lapped car, is a big gap in between the 18 and the 47, which is Richard Birmingham, and he is the second place car. Let's cycle through the field a little bit right now. You can see you got Birmingham, you got Kyle Bristol. You got 3 wide between Abel DeMarco, David Iller, and Winty Wolf. And you also have Gustav Adolf II, Wyatt Floor, Greg Shatner, Jackie Everett, who's a lap down, Carl McKinnon, Colin Derry Arnford, Shea Derryman. There's also Tim Moore, Ty Rogers, Stephanie Larson, and Felix Rizzo. Rizzo currently running in the 12th position. Or in the, now it's just hanging on the top 20. But you can see Ryan Adema, he's running in the top 20. He's running in the 18th position. Let's take a look from his hood cam. Right now, Ryan Adema running in the 16th position. Of course, this is his home state, almost his home track, native of Fort Myers, Florida. Races professional sprint cars in Florida. So he surely knows a thing or two about the world of racing. He's one of our few actual professionals in the field. Right now, the spotlight is all on the 18 of Jack Husky, who is in the lead on lap 24. Looks like Birmingham might finally make a pass for at least getting past Alvarez. Because remember, Alvarez is not on the lead lap. He is officially being scored as 30th. Got an even bigger lead than ever. It's probably growing to about a half second, I'd say. Coming off of 4, he will lead the lap, and the margin is, wow, just over a half a second, 0.57. That we're seeing right now. Let's take a look as of lap 26 on the fastest lap of the race. Right now, it is Jack Husky who leads the field by about, I'd say, 4/100ths of a second. Because his fastest lap is a 29.506. As now Gustav Adolf II will file in to the second position, passing Richard Birmingham. Now, when you think of the 18 car and M&Ms, you think of Kyle Busch, but you don't think of Jack Husky in a Ford leading at Homestead-Miami, and then you also have Gustav Adolf II right behind him. Who will run the party and who will end up going to victory lane? We still have a long time to go before we can decide that. Gustav Adolf II just inches closer and closer, tightening the gap between first and second right now. The lead at one point was about 0.6 of a second. Right now it's dropped to about 1/4 of a second. We're going to see what will happen from here. Still just shortly, turn after turn, starts to get a little bit slower. And we saw that at Daytona, where if a guy had a big advantage, it would end up always closing in because of the draft. Now, I'm not saying at something like a speedway that the draft would end up being a huge help, but it would still be somewhat beneficial to have some draft. As Gustav Adolf II is now about 0.16 seconds behind the leader. Will Gustav make a move? That's the question. Looks like he's trailing back a little bit. All those cars seem to slide in turn 3 just a little bit. I don't know what it is with their cars, but they just always seem to have a little bit of a slide when it comes to that corner. And that one in particular, too. It's not like it's... You see him slide a little bit in turn 1, but that really depends on the car and, you know, the driver. Let's take a look from our helicopter view. Oh, Gustav Adolf II, he's on the inside. The 14 is on the inside of Jack Husky. They will come off of turn 4. It'll be a battle back to the line. Oh, goodness, it's close, but it's Jack Husky by 1/100th of a second. They're still battling, coming off of 2. And now Adolf is in the lead, coming off of turn number 4. There's Creed Daniel ahead of him. Oh, wow, that was once again close. How close was that? Let's take a look at our scoreboard right here. 2/1000th of a second. You know, that is literally, if that happens, that would be the closest finish, or at least tied for the closest finish in NASCAR history. Because, of course, there was the 2003 Darlington race, where Ricky Craven beat out Kurt Busch by 2/1000th of a second. But there was also the 2011, I believe it was the Spring Talladega race, where it was Clint Bowyer versus Jimmy Johnson. That was also 2/1000th of a second. Now, of course, this is just a random lap in an insignificant race. I mean, it's not insignificant, but you know what I'm saying. It's not going to change in a huge way who's in contention for the championship, because we are still on race 2 out of 26. We have a long way to go since the first speedway of many. Now the race leader in the 14 built Ford Tough Mustang. Now Jack Husky will make a pass for the lead again. There's Darian Arnsdorf and Wyatt Floor battling it out. That's for the 3rd position. They're running a little bit too wide formation, coming off of 4 once again. Jack Husky and Gustav Adolf II. If we take a look, I think we can say the sun's starting to set. Let's take a look at the hood of the 14. Here, you can see, let's take a look from the 14. As the race progresses, this is on lap 6. This was on lap 13. This was on lap 17. This was on lap 25. This was on lap 32. Still in the lead, but right now the gap between first, second, and third is closer than ever. Husky in first, Adolf in second, Adolf the second, of course, in second, ironically, and Wyatt Floor running in the third position. Stephanie Larson running fourth, and Darian Arnsdorf running in the fifth, but he is battling for fifth with Richard Birmingham. On lap 42, here in the Lennar 160 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. $160 miles, 107 laps. Coming off of turn 4 once again, you can still see the skid marks on the track from that earlier crash that happened involving Jacob Thibodeau, Ethan Mitchell, and a few others that sent Jacob Thibodeau in the catch fence upside down. Boy, oh boy, just... that will definitely be a thing. So, Gustav Adolf II was in the lead for a few laps, but it ultimately died down, and he is now riding in second, and Wyatt Floor dropped from third to fifth, as now he might even fall back to sixth, and Richard Birmingham catches him. It looks like that was. But there's also Santiago Alvarez, who is currently running 30th. He is on a lap down. Oh, look at this. He might try to make a move on the inside. Headed to the start-finish line. It will be Husky, but right now, Adolf is on his tail. He is going to take it from the 18, as we saw earlier, and Stephanie Larson is also there as well. Oh, look at this. It's going to be 3 wide coming off of 4. This is going to be a good lap finish. And it'll be consolidated to about 2 wide, but Gustav Adolf the second leads the lap, and now Stephanie Larson's running in the second position. Of course, she is with DeMarco Larson Motorsport. 2 good friends, and they decided to start up a race team for the second season. Cole DeMarco used to be an owner-driver for ATX Motorsports, which hosted him and Larry Barker, and also DeLone Carter. Now, Barker and Carter are no longer running in the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour, but DeLone Carter used to run the 66, and he actually had his first race at Darlington, because he was a little bit of a late entry last season, and he finished second in that race, behind Will Robbins, who is also another driver who's no longer running in our series. I mean, I said this during Daytona, and I'll say it again. I'd say about 3/4 of our drivers are just total rookies, because after the first season, we decided to completely revamp the league and completely change our outlook on the league. And I feel like that's had a lot of a positive outlook and a positive reaction. And it's produced good results. We have 40 drivers, and we can even starting a second division starting next season. Never know at this point. around lap 50. We are getting word that Jacob Thibodeau has been finally released from the care center. He is okay. Nothing really out, but just still a incredibly scary crash. Ethan Mitchell was released from the care center on around lap 40, from what we heard. And look who made his way back to the top 5. It's Chase Buck in the 19, who, thanks to the glory of cautions, is now running in the 5th position and is just going to make a pass for 4th over Darian Arnsdorf. That's going to be interesting. Remember, Chase Buck is sort of an interesting story for our perspective, because he went to pit lane on the pacing laps before the start of the race. And everyone, I think, including myself, was extremely confused as to what in the world was going on. Well, it turns out it was something wrong with the splitter on the car. There was debris that they had picked up on the front stretch from another car, which is why they had to pit to take that off, or else the car would not run properly. That's what we're hearing from the 19 team right now, as they are just a workhorse. I mean, they started the race, they immediately put themselves, as an underdog, because they started the race essentially a lap down. I mean, that's the worst way to start a race. But now they worked their way to the back to the front of the field. And now they're in 3rd place, battling for the lead with Jack Husky and Gustav Adolf. Right now, it's starting to get a little bit away from the rest of the field between Husky and Adolf, but those cars that are running on the lead lap, they are definitely, without a doubt, in contention. It's Darian Arnsdorf and Chase Buck, they're getting a little bit close. They run to the bottom of the racetrack. Still, the 18 and the 14 in the lead, and I think that the 14 might make a move on Jack Husky. And that's exactly what will happen. Coming off of turn 4, Reed Daniels ahead of them. And they'll make a swift pass on him. Reed Daniels will now go 2 laps down because of that. Adolf is back in the lead. Back in the lead. But Husky's on the inside, and Guzov left the door wide open. To the line. Wow, that's close. Adolf, the second. By 1/100th of a second. Here is Esko Lauken, and he is the last car on the lead lap, and he's going to be right out now. As look who moves up to second, Chase Buck, in the 19 car. He's now going to be on the inside of the 18. And that 19 is running a little bit close to the 18. He's basically on his bumper. The question is, in one of these corners, really make a move. Most of the lead changes that we've seen are the result of the guy in second place making a move to the inside of the back. Will that happen? Not right now. Just depends on if Husky leaves the door open. Because all these cars have a tendency to slide. And look at that. His car did slide a little bit. Now coming off of 4. Chase Buck in the 19 to the line. Wow, that is close. Let's see how close that one was. 1/1000th of a second. Or I don't know why. 1,000th of a second. 0.001. That was how close that lap was. To me, that is incredible. That's just incredible. You can see right here, the 18, the 19, and the 98 are all battling it out as we go to lap 60. Arthur Xavier is going to be a little bit in the way. And Jack Husky will fall back because of the 43. I didn't think it would happen. But now here's Jay Bird and Felix Rizzo sort of blocking off the rest of the field. Right now it looks like Darian Arnsdorf is going to get an advantage on the inside. Jay Bird's kind of... Oh my gosh! A hard crash for Santiago Alvarez. Oh my goodness. A hard crash, and he gets hit by the 80 of Kyle Driscoll. Caution is out. Oh my goodness, that is a terrible crash. Arthur Xavier, I didn't think he caused that accident, but let's take a look at the replay. Caution is out for the third time for just... Oh my gosh, I mean, this is crazy. I had a feeling this was going to happen at some point. They were starting to get bunched up, and then what happens? The 18 turns the 43 right into Alvarez, and pow, at 150 miles an hour. He goes straight into the wall. That is probably one of the hardest licks I've seen in a long, long time. Alvarez just, wow. Wow. I mean, what else can I say? That is just incredible. Not in a good way, but still. The 43 ended up getting turned by the 18, which in turn gets the 16 to go around, and just pow. Let's take a look from our helicopter view. What in the world happened? Yeah, simple as that. 18 turns to 43. 16 gets turned hard into the wall. And then later after, as he's trying to slow down, the 80 car comes along and hits Alvarez. Let's take a look from the hood cam of the 16. That 16 car is okay, and let's hope that the driver is okay. And now the cockpit of Santiago Alvarez. See, if you look at the rear view here, you can see the 43 starting to come down on the 16 by that point. So right now, for the third time, we are under caution on lap 62 following a terrible crash by Santiago Alvarez. We'll be back after this. We are back. Wouldn't you know, we are back. On lap 64, caution lights are off and the pace car lights are on, which means we will go green next time by. A lot of cars on the inside, they are going to make an attempt, at least, at getting some sort of a wave around. You can see Nolo Hamilton is there, Jay Bird is there, Felix Rizzo, Esko Laukkanen, Jackie Everett, and Creed Daniel. They are on the inside line. But your top 10, as we are about to go back under green, is Darian Arnsdorf, Wyatt Floor, Stephanie Larson, Gustav Adolf II, Greg Shetner, who we haven't seen at the front of the field all day, Ryan Adema, who's worked his way back into the top 10, Carl McKinney, Mitchell Collins, Tim Moore, and Patrick Starr. Now, there's 22 cars on the lead lap, with Birmingham being the last car on the lead lap. And then you also have 28 cars just on the field, because there's at least 10 guys that are out of the race, including the 80, the 43, the 16 to 77, 31, the 87, the 17, the 11, the 41, the 60, and the 44, the 76. So it's Darian Arnsdorf, who wrecked out at Daytona on lap 88. They'll be going back under green here at Homestead-Miami. And now Darian what in the... Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Darian Arnsdorf is going to go to pit lane. We saw that with Alvarez earlier. I have no idea why these guys do that. If I'm being completely honest, it might be something with the INI. Now, for those who don't know what that is, that's essentially the track file for the race. It determines, you know, what drag these cars have, how much braking distance they have, how much bunching distance, that sort of stuff. I don't know what happened, but I think there might be something up with the INI, which is why the 16 and the 98 both went to pit road while they were in the lead. It's a tough situation for the 98 team, as now he comes out of pit lane and he will be a lap down. I mean, that's just... I feel like that's a bit of a cheap shot. I mean, I feel bad because it's out of my control. Wyatt Floor, who led the most laps at Daytona, he led 18 laps out of the 100-lap race. He is now in first, with Gustav Adolf the second behind him, Greg Shetner in third. Shetner also, if I'm not mistaken, wrecked out of the 500 as well. They're running a little single file, but Stephanie Larson will run to the inside and make a pass on Greg Shetner for third place. And now look at Gustav Adolf the second. He's making a run on the 0 car. Wyatt Floor will lead the lap. But now going into turn 1 once more. On lap 69, it looks like Gustav Adolf is going to take the lead. That's a nice pass that he makes right there. Will he be able to hold him off, though, for this lap? Because Wyatt Floor is now not getting help from anybody. The 14 is getting help from the 21 and the 61. And the 0 is getting help from nobody. Coming off of turn 4, now it might be Stephanie Larson that could lead the lap. It will be Gustav. Now Stephanie Larson makes her way up to second place. And now with the help of the 61, they're going to work together. But the 21 does slide up a tiny bit. Now Gustav in the 14 car, he will lead another lap as Larson running second. Shetner third, Collins fourth, and Wyatt Floor now back to the 5th position. He could even drop back to third. Bennett running 6th, Ryan Adema running 7th. Patrick Starr running in the 8th position. Chase Bucket and Tim Moore. Top 10, that rounds it out. Collins might be trying to make a move. Oh, they're getting a little bit squirrely in the back of the pack. I don't really like how that's going. I don't know, that 3-wide coalition right there don't look too good. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they could possibly wreck soon. That's just my fear, though. If we take a look at the 89, they just look a little bit... I don't want to make any assumptions, but they do look a little bit suspicious running around that area. I don't know what it is, man. It's just a little bit odd, if you ask me. Coming off of 4, once again, Gustav Adolf the second will lead the lap. Stephanie Larson still running in the second position, about 0.2 of a second back. They're still getting a little bit dicey. The 08 is getting a little bit dicey. They're running close. They're running in a sardine-type fashion. Once again, still makes you wonder, will somebody end up wrecking? Because we've already had 3 cautions. Will we have another? I don't know. The 14 is still in the lead. He was jockeying for position for a long, long time. They still run in a little bit of a single file form. The question is, will anybody ever make a move on the leader? Oh, maybe the 21. That was almost her time to shine to try to take the lead. As now they're starting to spread out even more. They're just still running in basically a uniform fashion. No real passing. 14 does slide a little bit, and the 0 car did try to get on the inside of the 2. Just didn't really see much. Right now we got about, I'd say, 30 laps to go. And I think, even though I'm not talking too much right now, I think y'all know what time it is. It's time to crank it up. Coming off a 2 now, they're starting to get a little bit bunched up there. Wyatt Floor, Mitchell Collins, and Adam on the inside, and it looks like Greg Shetner got a little bit snubbed since he's now behind the lapped car, which is the 28 of Creed Daniel. .24 laps to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway. We will see if another caution comes out here. We are basically just in full darkness and full nighttime now. Once again, I'll show you the lap, let's see, we'll go to lap 1. You can see it was fully daylight out, you know, we had a nice time. And then as we went to lap 26, it started to get a little bit darker. Then as we went to lap 37, you can see it even gets a little bit darker more. And as we go through, the night starts to get darker and darker. And as we went on, you can see here, that's lap 71. And here we are now on lap 86, it's going to be, with the 14 and the 21 pulling away. Question is, will the 21 be able to make a move on the 14? 20 to go. Still a good race, and I mean, it started to spread out near the end. But we've had some crazy wrecks, had some interesting cautions as well. So right now, with less than 20 to go, let's cycle. Right now, the leader is Gustav Adolf II, followed by Stephanie Larson, Wyatt Fleur, Jack Husky, Chase Buck, Ryan Ainema, and Mitchell Collins. And you have Greg Shetner, see Darian Arnsdorf, Dakota Bennett, Abel DeMarco, that's your top 10 right now. And then you also have Shea Derryman, Tim Moore, Richard Birmingham, Winty Wolf, Patrick Starr, Ty Rogers, David Iller, Carl McKinney, and then the 33 and the 34, who are both a lap down. Ariel Carmona and Luis Aguilar, that's your top 20. Then you have Brady Wilmington, who is the last car on the lead lap, and then everyone else is at least a lap down. That is Darian Arnsdorf, Jackie Everett, Felix Rizzo, Jay Bird, Esko Laukkanen, Nolo Hamilton, and Creed Daniel. And then for cars 29 through 40, that is Kyle Driscoll, Arthur Xavier, Santiago Alvarez, Dan Wilkins, Christian Coppola, Jacob Thibodeau, Leo King, Bryce Durlocker, who's making his debut, Ethan Mitchell, Jay Monin, Gristo Papa Georges, who had a piston problem, and was also involved in that early wreck, and then Faris Khalil, who essentially went to the garage on lap 3, and that was the end of that. And now Jack Husky will make a pass for second past Stephanie Larson. We will go to lap 93. And now Jack Husky's on the inside. That one was close, but right now he's still on the inside of the 14, and now Esko Laukkanen holds up the 14. Oh, that's gotta hurt. So he will just drop back to third. Jack Husky will be back in the lead in the lap. Husky, Larson, Gustav, Floor, and Buck running in the top 5. Let's see another caution though before the race ends. These guys are running a little bit tight, and they are going to get a little bit squirrely. I just know that. You know we're going to see something. I just got that feeling we're going to see something before the end of the race. Oh, the 14's getting a little bit of a push from the 19. We'll see if that amounts to anything. Sliding just a little bit, 3 wide in turn 3. It's Buck, Gustav, and Floor. I'll kind of go back to their regular thing. 11 to go. Jack Husky still with a lead of about 0.4 of a second. The question is, will any of these cars in the top 5 be able to catch up to the leader of Jack Husky? I don't know. I wouldn't doubt it, but I also would doubt it, considering how well Jack Husky has ran this entire race. sight to see. And now it will be Chase Buck kind of running away with the second position. He is running a lot closer to the 18 than he was before. He could make a pass for the lead. On lap 99, Husky slides a little bit. Chase Buck holds his line. We'll see what happens coming off of 4. And Stephanie Larson and Wyatt Floor, they're battling for the 4th position. Buck is falling back a little bit, but if he can get help from the 14, he could maybe get the 19 lead. And it would be it would just be truly one of the greatest comeback stories for this Adama Buck Racing team. I mean, it would just be incredible for the 19 team, because they went, as I've said before, they went to pit lane on the pace lap, went a lap down, and because of lucky cautions and wave rounds, was able to get their way back to the front of the field, and now in 2nd place, and maybe the 3rd if the 14 gets past them. I don't know if that'll happen. Looks like that might happen, yeah. 14 is going to pass Chase Buck, but now on lap 102 of 107, all eyes are on Jack Husky, as now Creed Daniel, who is 3 laps down, he gets past that lap car with ease, and the 19 gets stuck behind him. So that will essentially end the contention for the race win for the 19 as he falls back to 3rd. But Jack Husky, he's holding them off. He has a good run. Boy, oh boy, 5 laps to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway and the Lennar 160. Creed Daniel is running way off the race pace. And, you know, he was involved in one of the earlier accidents, but he's just been able to fight his way to get back on the racetrack. That's really all that has mattered to that 2018 of Creed Daniel. 4 laps to go from this wonderful oval in the state of Florida. Right now he's got a lead of about 3/10 of a second, but that could grow or shrink in the next couple of miles, depending on what we see. And now Chase Buck might be making a move back on the inside of the 14. Here we go. Three laps to go. 4.5 miles. Chase Buck and Gustav Adolf II, they are battling for the 2nd position. And now, boy oh boy, Chase Buck is back in 2nd. Gustav drops down to 3rd. 2 laps to go. Oh boy. Can't wait for this, man. Jack Husky, Chase Buck, Gustav Adolf II, Wyatt Floor, and Stephanie Larson, they're in your top 5. They're running a little single file, but if Chase Buck gets a good run, you never know what could happen. But right now, Adolf II is back on the inside. They are battling for 2nd, but Jack Husky, all he has to do is hold them off one final time. White flag. 1.5 miles to go. 1 more lap to go from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Right now, it's Jack Husky. He looks like he might be safe from here. All he's got to do is hold him off. He's running at 186. 107 miles. 107 laps. 160 miles. We'll end with Jack Husky, the number 18 M&M's Ford, going to victory lane at Homestead-Miami. Gustav Adolf II finishes in the second position, ironically. Chase Buck in third, Wyatt Floor in fourth, Stephanie Larson fifth, Ryan Adama sixth, Mitchell Collins seventh, Greg Shetner eighth, Winty Wolf ninth, Tim Moore 13th. That is your top 10. The results should be showing on screen, but that will conclude the Lennar 160. We'll see you guys next time at Lake Buena Vista for the next running of the Modern Stock Car Cup Tour.